What is best in life? To crush your enemies, see them driven before you, and to hear the lamentation of their women.
Excuse me while I whip this out.
All right. What is it? Tuesday night already? Yikes, we're getting close to the election, people. It's coming up on Monday. It's actually kind of terrifying, isn't it? Considering what could happen to Canada if Mark Carney wins. Yikes. But anyway, it's Tuesday night. Hope everybody had a great weekend. It is the Tuesday night Radio Baloney Live. I am your host, Richie Baloney. Good to see you. Rumbum, Nevada. Who else we got out there? Rosie, good to see you guys already. All right, it looks like who got the first like tonight? Rumbum got the first like. That means double good karma. Everybody knows when you like the stream or subscribe to the channel, you get free good karma from this channel. I build up a reservoir, an enormous reservoir of good karma when I'm preparing for the streams and as I'm doing the streams. And I thought at first I'd just keep that good karma for myself, but then I realized that is bad karma. So I have to keep giving it away to keep this whole crazy cycle happening. So the first like, whether it's on Rumble, whether it's on YouTube, whether it's on X, whether it's on Locals, the first like gets double good karma. And my friends, in these troubled times, can you afford to turn your back on that? I wouldn't. So Rumbum gets the first like. That's double good karma. All right. All right. So what are you guys saying before we'll take a couple of seconds to let more people come in? Let's see. We had a good crowd on YouTube on the last one. We had about 1,500 people in that stream. Not all at once, but over the course of the stream, which is very good for YouTube. Very good for YouTube. Normally, YouTube hides my streams from all of my subscribers, so nobody knows that I'm live. But I guess it let its guard down last time. Let's see. Rumbum says the thumbnail looks like the Liberal circus being led by the WEF Carney, while PP is just cringing hard, saying that's a big yikes from Canada, mate. Yeah, it is a circus. The Liberal Party is just a circus at this point. It's a circus that the media keeps saying is perfectly normal and there's nothing to see here. Rumbum says, missed the last few streams. So nice to make it on time. This time we're glad to have you. Nevada got the second like. You know what? I'm going to be extra generous this time. You get 1.5 good karma. 1.5 for being seconds. I think he came in right behind Rumbum with the first like. 1.5. Good for you, man. How you doing, JJ? Good to see ya. Rosie, good to see ya. Rosie Too funny. I forgot to hit like when I got here. Number 3. Number 3 is still pretty good. I'll tell you what. Rosie, you get 1 and the 3rd good karma for this time. Just because. It's a good day. Let's see. Nevada says, if she misses, she burns the woods down. That's an excellent point. All right. Rosie says, your clips are great spreading them. I noticed on X. Thank you very much. I appreciate that a great deal. All right. So what are we going to talk about? First, we're going to talk about, we'll go through the menu quickly, then we'll go back to the chat, and then we'll go into the stories in detail. First off, there's a report that's come out of the Privy Council that basically paints an apocalyptic future if Canada continues on the same path. So this is Mark Carney's government put this out. I've actually got the report here on the Government of Canada website. It is real. Future live social mobility in question. And this does include issues like, hold on a second. Does include issues like people might find alternate ways to meet their basic needs, such as people might start to hunt, fish, or forage on public lands or waterways without reference to regulations because they don't have food and they're starving. So, elbows up, I guess. Yeah, we'll talk about that. Mark Carney's not taking it very well, by the way. Where's the Mark Carney? There, yeah, so Mark Carney is not taking it very well. People are mentioning about his budget, too, that it's going to bankrupt the country. He's getting really crabby about it because, I mean, it all started out so great, right? He was just parachuted in and just appointed prime minister, essentially. It was easy. It was no work at all. And now he's got to go out and talk to people and try to justify it. Don't people understand he's Canada's emperor now? Why does he have to do this? He's better than everybody else. Don't you know that he knows how the world works? So, yeah, he's being crabby. Nobody's saying he's mean, though. They just keep saying that Pierre's mean, even though really he seems like a genuinely mean guy. Anyway, we'll talk about all of that. We've got another video of Liz Truss here warning Canada, do not vote for this guy. He doesn't know what he's doing. He's an ideologue. He's nuts. Pierre Poilievre obviously is going to respond to all of this. We'll go through all of that. We've got videos of that. He's got his own platform out. We'll take a look at that. We've got yeah, we got warnings that we're going into recession, that what Mark Carney wants to do by piling on masses and masses of more debt and doing this whole investment in what? In green energy. Also sending our money all over the world for nothing, basically, to fight misinformation in Sri Lanka or something. Yeah, all the stuff that Trudeau did, more of that, only like a lot more of that. And it didn't work before and it won't work again. And Canada, if Mark Carney gets elected, Canada is just, we shouldn't even be a country anymore. We don't even deserve to choose our leaders at that point. We might as well just have an emperor at that point. We've got some news on the WEF. I've got this funny video from Danny Polishchuk where he green screened him into a WEF thing doing stand-up. It's quite funny. I might have shown you that before. Here's the new interim chairman of the WEF, and not at all like a supervillain. So I guess Klaus Schwab wasn't enough looking like a guy who was building like some sort of super laser on the moon. They had to get this guy in now with like the red eye, and I don't know, he's straight out of James Bond. Yikes, they're not even trying to hide it. WEF is just terrible. I don't know. Let's see. We've got some good news. Somebody being arrested, but then also basically just being let go. Some Tesla tard who's damaged a bunch of Teslas. This is the problem. You've got activist judges, and it's a big problem in the States. We'll take a quick look at that. And we've got some memes. Got some Canadian politics memes, some American politics memes. They're all very nice. Woke mind virus, of course. We always like to take a little bit of a look at that because it's so disturbing. UK is Airstrip 1. It is just a totally dystopian wasteland right now for free speech. What do we got? We got Conor McGregor walking the streets of Dublin with Tucker Carlson. I've been trying to show this one to you for the last couple of weeks and haven't been able to get to it. A little bit of stuff on Trump here, Trump assassination plot. We tried to do this last time. We didn't have time to get to it. Then we've got just a big mishmash of stuff on the last bookmark for the evening. You can see all these fun things. A lot of it's just funny stuff, some kind of feel-good stuff. There's some political stuff in here. There's just a big mishmash, and it's kind of a nice way to end off the show. So we'll be there probably in a couple hours. But for now, we'll take a look at the chat, and then we'll start digging in deep. And I'm going to try and keep, I say this all the time. Last time I actually did, we kept it to 2.5 hours. I'm going to try and keep it around that for this one. Because I've only got so many brain cells. All right. What is going on? Yeah, so we'll take another look at the chat while we wait for a few more people to come in. What do we got? MHJ, good to see ya. Rosie says, trying to do my part to tell Canada how to think. Well, I just believe that, the left has always had this concept of solidarity and the international and all of that. I think that the conservatives, just not even because they're just sane people across the Western world, need to have solidarity too, and to support each other across borders. The left's been doing that forever, trying to destroy Western civilization. I think we also need to do that to try and preserve it. All right. Wanda says she's very good. It's extremely impressive, isn't it? I couldn't do that. I could spend my whole life training to do that and not be able to do that. All right. Rosie says 1.33 karma. Wow. I know. It's better than just one. And of course, Nevada gets his 1.5 good karma. Anybody who likes the stream, you get free good karma. You know that, right? You know that. First one in line gets double good karma. And sometimes I'll give out a little bit extra for second or third. Let's see. Let's see. Nevada says, what the F is that? You're talking about the new World Economic Forum guy, Terminator Eye. It's just evil villain eye. Evil villain eye. You need some sunglasses. Yep. Travis, how you doing? Good to see you. Only 10 minutes late. That's excusable. Let's see. Rumbum, dude looks like the bad guy from the last action hero. Rosie says, looks like Geppetto made him out of wood. We should go back and look at him again. Hold on. While we're doing this, that's the new... That's the interim leader of the World Economic Forum now. And how? Is this on purpose? Is this on purpose? Look, we're evil, okay? We already showed you Klaus in his weird evil villain costume, right? We've already had him. All right, we're getting rid of him. He wasn't evil enough to convince everybody that we're some sort of evil global organization from a James Bond film. So how about this guy? Does this do it now? Are you convinced now? Look at this guy. He's got like a blood eye. He can't be good. He has to be evil. Look at his haircut. Just look at him. I don't know. He looks evil to me. Rosie says, so you kill us with politics, then revive us with memes. Better than CPR. It's true. Well, I have to give you some hope. Rosie says that she did train to do this, but they stopped making the costume. Man, what a bummer. That sucks. Oh, that's too bad. Oh well. Maybe they'll make him again one day. And Nevada says he's wearing a rug too. Is he wearing a rug? Yeah, it does look like a rug, doesn't it? Rumbum says Schwab looked like a straight-up evil Nazi, but then they were all okay. We need a dude that looks like he can't contain the evil demon wearing him as a skin suit. Yeah, the evil demon's coming out of his eye. Look at that. He's got a blood eye, for God's sakes. They're telling us. They could have picked anybody. No, they have to pick the most evil Bond villain-looking guy on the earth. There was another guy that was close, but he didn't have a red blood eye. So they picked this guy. Yikes. What are we doing? What are we doing? All right, let's get to it, people. So I've mentioned that I don't like Mark Carney. I think that he's an elite globalist. I think he does not have the well-being of Canadians in mind. I think he has the well-being of his crazy ideology in mind. So, this was posted by Freedom Lover. The Privy Council advises the PM and Cabinet on matters of national and international importance. They include members of Cabinet, former ministers, and individuals of prominence. If Canada continues on the same economic path it's on today, this will be the result. So if we do what's in Mark Carney's platform, the Privy Council office, through its Foresight Division, Policy Horizons Canada, released a report titled Future Lives, Social Mobility in Question. So it talks about a bunch of things here: increased inequality, declining social mobility, mass immigration. But let's go to the actual report itself on the Government of Canada website. This is real. This is a real thing. This was published on the 7th of January of this year, 2025, on the Government of Canada website. This is not on some far-right blog. No. This is on the Government of Canada website. This is what the government is telling us that they're doing to us. Future Lives, Social Mobility in Question, Policy Horizons. Let's see. So what is this thing? So they're basically painting a scenario of what will happen if Mark Carney gets elected, because it's just a continuation of the Trudeau policies, only supercharged. So now, of course, they're not saying that in here. They're just saying if Canada keeps going on the same path, and we know that Mark Carney wants to continue on the same path, that, well, only supercharged, this is what will happen. The scenario below paints a picture of Canada in 2040 in which most Canadians find themselves stuck in the socioeconomic conditions of their birth, and many face the very real possibility of downward social mobility. While this is neither the desired nor preferred future, Policy Horizons strategic foresight suggests it is possible. So if things continue down the same path, all of this will happen. And this is a report by the government on their own website. Let's see, in 2040, pursuing post-secondary education is no longer considered a reliable path to social mobility. Well, is it now? I don't think it even is now. In 2040, owning a home is not a realistic goal for many. That's right now. Intergenerational wealth. People see inheritance as the only reliable way to get ahead. Society increasingly resembles an aristocracy. We're not very far from that right now, are we? People's mental health may suffer. Don't worry, though. I'm sure Carney will give you medical assistance in dying if you find living in his country depressing. People's mental health may suffer. More people may struggle to afford rent, bills, and groceries. The resulting stress could worsen mental health challenges. Well, it's already pretty bad right now. Workers may seek greener pastures elsewhere. Canada may become a less attractive destination for migrants if it is seen as a country where upward mobility is uncommon. More people in Canada, including recent immigrants, may emigrate to jurisdictions where they perceive upward social mobility and or higher standards of living are easier to attain, even if they are not. If young workers leave Canada, it may become harder to pay for the systems that support a growing number of older people. Now, has this guy thought of that? Has he thought of that? Has this guy here considered that? That maybe it's not the best idea to just completely screw over like your kids and your grandkids and your great grandkids, because maybe eventually they won't hang around to take care of you. Has he considered that? I don't think that he has. I think that his mind has been parasitized. We call him the Brantford Boomer. A Mark Carney supporter. Maybe not the typical Mark Carney supporter, but a Mark Carney supporter. People might find alternative ways to meet their basic needs. I wonder if that could affect crime at all. I wonder. Let's see. Crime is already way up, so why stop now? Forms of person-to-person exchange of goods and services could become even more popular, reducing tax revenues and consumer safety. People may start to hunt, fish, and forage on public lands and waterways without reference to regulations. So basically, people might start to have to hunt and forage to eat in Canada. Is Canada still a first world country? You might want to ask yourself that. Is it right now? So is a country where young people right now, regardless of what it says in this and its predictions for 2040, right now, the vast majority of young people who want to start a life together, who want to start a family, can't. At least they can't do it the way they would like. They can't buy just like a little house, not the 600 square foot tiny house prefab thing from Mark Carney that Mark Carney wants to make, which won't be for sale anyway. You'll just have to rent from Mark Carney or from Brookfield or whatever company Brookfield owns. But if they want to just get a little house like people used to do, with like a small yard, they can have a dog and their kid can run around the backyard, but their own little house, their own little detached house. They can't do it. The vast majority can't do it. It doesn't matter how hard they try, how hard they work. It's too expensive. Even if they wanted, live 3 hours away from work and commute 6 hours a day, it's still too hard in too many places in Canada. So that sounds like generational damage to me, right? Do you still qualify as a first world country if this new generation that's trying to start their lives can't afford to? Are you still a first world nation? If those people have to live at home because they can't even afford to rent a studio apartment? I mean, 2040 ain't that far away. It's a lot closer than we might think. In fact, it might already be here. People may start to hunt, fish, and forage. Well, Mark Carney didn't mention anything about that. You might have to go out into the woods and hunt to eat. He didn't mention that in his platform. So there you have it, people. Total and utter insanity in Canada. And yet, the odds are that Mark Carney wins, which is totally insane. It proves to you that in Canada, state-funded media is a terrible idea. Just in any country, state-funded media, a terrible, terrible idea. Now, what does Pierre Poilievre have to say about all of this? Let's see. Hold on one sec. Here we go. This was posted by CBC Watcher. So Joe Warmington is asking Pierre Poilievre about this dystopian Privy Council report. Remember, people, things can always get worse.
Mr. Poilievre, Joe Warmington from the Toronto Sun and Post Media.
Hey, Joe.
Nice to be here today. And
thank you.
I would be remiss as a reporter to not talk about what you talked about. And I want to talk about the platform. But just before that, You mentioned about this report out of the Privy Council.
Yeah.
Now, as a crime reporter, if you will, when I hear something like that, I cannot believe what I've heard. And it's such a stark contrast to what you talked about in your platform. But I do want to go back, if you can address that, how that's going to help fix it. But that is the most negative thing in my 40 years in journalism that I've ever heard about Canada. I don't see it too many places in the media, and I think it can't be glossed over. So I'd like to talk about that and how you're going to fix that if you win on next week.
Oh, I think you're absolutely right. I'm shocked that, like, this is not an interest group or an opinion columnist or even a think tank that has put out this report. It is not even just a government department. It is the Prime Minister's personal department. Like, I think somebody has to ask Mark Carney, has he seen this report? His department wrote it. And what they are anticipating on the current trajectory is a total meltdown, a societal breakdown in Canada if we stay on the current track. Why this isn't blazing the front pages of every news outlet in the country right now is beyond me. It's just unbelievable. Unbelievable. Like, it blows my mind. What they're actually saying is that I'm just going to read some of these more.
Well, the reason that it's not headline news is because Mark Carney is the new sugar daddy for the corporate media in Canada, particularly the CBC, obviously, right? That's why they're so close to getting them in, getting that extra 150 million that's promised to the CBC. How is that even legal, right? For Mark Carney to go to say publicly, to offer what is clearly, transparently a bribe, to say, I will increase your funding by $150 million. Everybody gets a raise. At least the important people get a raise. If I win, how is that even legal? I mean, it just seems like obvious election interference. That just seems like obviously buying influence. How can it be anything else? I mean, you got a guy offering to give them a raise. It's insanity. Anyway, let's continue.
People, this is for the future. It's not enough for Mr. Carney to say, oh, well, the last 10 years is in the past, forget about it. Stop bothering me about the past, he will say. This is the predicted future his department foresees for Canada. More people may struggle to afford rent, bills, or groceries. The resulting stress could worsen mental health challenges. This would increase demand on social services. In 2040, upward social mobility is almost unheard of in Canada. Hardly anyone believes that they can build a better life for themselves or their children through their own efforts. Many worry about sliding down the social order. In 2040, owning a home is not a realistic goal for many. Inequality between those who rent and those who own has become a key driver of social, economic, and political conflict. In 2040, pursuing a post-secondary education is no longer considered a reliable path to social mobility. Fewer young people choose post-secondary education, and those who do see it less as a path to a successful career than a way to reinforce their membership in the, quote, elite. That's not my words. That's the government's words. The reports paints a terrifying picture of a spiral of economic depression and cost inflation. People may lose faith in the Canadian project, it says. It forecasts that this may trigger people to, quote, emigrate to jurisdictions where they perceive upward social mobility or other higher standards of living are easier to obtain. If young workers leave, it may become harder to pay for our social programs for the older people in the country. And then this last line, it staggers me that because groceries are expected to become so expensive, according to Mr. Carney's top government department, people may start to hunt, fish, and forage on public lands and waterways. Like, it is just hard to believe when you read these words that this is about Canada. This is exactly why I'm in politics, to reverse this, to give people back the promise of this country. And we know what to do. We know how to get there. We have to unleash a plan for change, a plan that will cut people's taxes so their hard work pays off, that will remove bureaucracy so we can build over 2 million homes, that will lock up the violent criminals, that will unleash our resources to generate a $500 billion of extra economic growth that will fund schools and hospitals and opportunity for our people. That's what's at stake. That's what change means. Thank you.
Well, I mean, hopefully enough people will see this, you know, to make a difference. Obviously, the media is not going to want to talk about it too much because, again, it gets in the way of the narrative, gets in the way of that big raise from Sugar Daddy Mark Carney, of course. Right? I mean, I don't know. I think it's kind of important. The government itself is predicting that people might have to start hunting and fishing and foraging on public lands to eat. I don't know. That seems like kind of a problem. That's not a great promise for the future. Hey, young people, guess what? You can rent a 600 square foot tiny house from us, and you can stay healthy by hunting and fishing and foraging so that you can eat. Wow. I don't know. It doesn't seem like the greatest thing to me. It doesn't seem like a great pitch to me, you know? Like, let's see. What does Liz Truss have to say? She's been trying to warn us. What is she saying? So she's the former Prime Minister of the UK. Let's take a look.
I think it is extraordinary that Mark Carney has become the Prime Minister of Canada. He did a terrible job in Britain of the governorship of the Bank of England. He created a lot of the problems that blew up on my watch and that I got blamed for were actually created by him. He backed Labour in the election and Rachel Reeves's policies, which are leading the country to bankruptcy. So why on earth the Liberal Party of Canada has selected this man, I have no idea. And I think it is illegitimate that this guy has never been elected as a member of Parliament in Canada. I'm utterly puzzled. And Justin Trudeau has pursued a lot of the same policies.
I mean, the thing is, he doesn't have to be. It's a very rare thing. It doesn't have to be, but you would think at that point you would have the good sense to be a caretaker prime minister, not to start rattling off absolutely insane, reckless gibberish like our relationship with the States is over. I mean, that's just bafflingly idiotic and stupid. I mean, and it's not his place as what is essentially a caretaker prime minister until it can be settled with an election. It's not his place to be doing that, doing reckless, insane things like that, acting like he has some mandate. He just was parachuted in. He was parachuted in. They had a charade of a leadership race where they didn't even try to land. The other ones didn't even try to land. They helped him in the debate, for God's sakes. It was clearly all decided in the back room beforehand, right? It's just crazy. I mean, what has he got in store for us? What has he got in store for us? What has Mark Carney got in store for us? Is it because it's just, I mean, his platform was we know now, just the Trudeau platform already written. He just slapped his name on it. He probably wrote it anyway, advising for Trudeau, but whatever, right? It's more of the same. What's he going to bring us? Let's see. Young people can rent 600 square foot tiny homes, which are all going to go to the millions of immigrants he's going to bring in anyway. So they probably won't even have access to that. But even if they do, they could live in one of those and then learn how to hunt, fish, and forage. So I guess like pick mushrooms in the forest and hope they're not picking the wrong ones? That's the promise. That's the promise of Mark Carney.
These that Europe has been pursuing. And America has raced ahead of us. Back at the turn of the millennium, the average Brit was catching up with the average American in terms of income per head.
Wow.
We are now $34,000 a year behind. We are poorer than Mississippi, which is the poorest American state. And the same is true. The same is true of France and Germany, and to some extent of Canada, because they pursued all of these woke policies. High taxes, high spending, not using their natural resources. And Justin Trudeau was the architect of that. And of course, Mark Carney has been the advocate of these policies. So I don't know what is going on in Canada, but in the same way as I think people in Britain need to wake up to what the real threat to our country is, I think they need to wake up in Canada.
Yeah, but not there. There are many that have woken up. We'll see if enough have woken up on election day. We'll see. One thing I just want to comment on is that, you guys might have noticed there was a troll in there. Why is it that and I silenced the troll because he started getting gross. Why is it that they always get gross? They always have to bring some sexual thing into it. Like, why is that? Like, it reveals so much about them. It's just a bizarre thing, but every single time they're gross. No matter how they start out, they become gross. Every single time. It must be the mind virus, right? Like, they're just incapable of behaving like adults. It's strange. They're incapable of being rational and behaving like adults. It's strange. We're seeing this. We're seeing it from all of these liberal supporters, and lots of them seniors, which we never used to see before. It would have been considered so unforgivably undignified to be out giving the finger to people who were just filming like the lineup and throwing F-bombs around. There's something weird, but every time these trolls, they get gross every single time, and it really reveals something about them and about their movement. Anyway. I want to get to a little bit more of, where was it? Okay. Hold on. All right, so let's hear about Pierre Poilievre talking about his platform. Let's take a look. And his platform, the goal isn't to force young people to forage in the forest for like berries and like wild mushrooms so they can eat, so they don't starve to death. But let's hear.
We can choose change. We can choose hope. We can choose our future. Our platform at forachange.ca lays out this plan. It is a plan that will lower taxes and debt by getting rid of bureaucracy, consulting fees, waste, and excessive foreign aid to dictators, terrorists, and global bureaucracy. It is a plan to build homes by removing taxes and bureaucracy. It is a plan for safe streets by locking up criminals for a change. Change to unleash our resources so that we can stand on our own 2 feet and stand up to Trump and anyone else from a position of strength. The choice is this: a 4th Liberal term with Mark Carney, whose reckless Liberal plan will add even more debt than Trudeau, or a new Conservative government with a responsible plan to save $125 billion and put us back on the path to growth and security. This is my plan for change.
Yeah, so his plan is still not going to balance the budget within 3 years. There'll still be a bit of a deficit by that 3rd year, but it starts getting it under control. And in the meantime, we'll be increasing revenue by taking advantage of our natural resources, obviously, but also pro-business practices that will be helpful for small businesses, medium businesses, large businesses, just getting the country rolling again. So this is not, it's not a, we
can choose change.
It's not a dystopian end to this, the way it is with the Carney plan, which is just, again, it's what Trudeau was doing, but supercharged, right? The investments in what? In green. We already tried that. Trudeau might as well have taken out all those billions of dollars that he invested in the new economy and just taken it to a field, taken pallets of cash out to a field and just burned it. Because that's what we got. That's what we got, right? And it was all borrowed money, too, that we have to pay interest on. Carney is just promising more of that. More, like not just an extension of it, but actually more, borrowing more to do more of that, to destroy Canadians' futures, especially young Canadians' futures. It's totally crazy. I want to show you something else from CBC Watcher. So the CBC does occasionally have, they have to. I mean, most of the time they're busy cleaning up Mark Carney's messes for him, but they have to pretend that they're objective. So they do show a few things like this occasionally. Maybe they just didn't interview him enough beforehand, but let's take a look.
I think in terms of the amount of deficit, here we are, David, we're probably headed into a recession.
Yeah.
And, we're having one of our major political parties says they can actually reduce the deficit as we head into a period of significant economic weakness. The government spends about $500 billion a year. We're a little over a $3 trillion economy. It's typical. You want governments to actually help stabilize the economy as we go through this instability. Instead, we have a plan actually that tries to reduce the deficit, both relative to the baseline and from an annual, like year-to-year adjustment. So there's a fiscal stance problem that I think some economists will have to actually, is this the time to try to reduce the deficit, particularly in 2025-26?
Okay. I want to get into the Liberals quickly now, because you've given them an overall assessment of good on all the three principles: realistic and credible economic and fiscal assumptions. Good.
Correct.
Okay.
And I think it's probably fair to say we have under Mr. Carney, Prime Minister Carney, the Liberal platform, somewhat of a hard target. They're saying they're going to balance the operating budget, in 2028-29. So it's a hard target that Parliament could hold the Liberals to account. I actually think they'll have a hard time meeting that target. I think the Conservatives, they don't actually have a hard target. They have kind of a fiscal rule saying if we're going to have additional spending, we're going to offset it. And if we're going to raise taxes, we're going to have a referendum. But they don't actually have a hard target, though the Conservatives are showing a much lower deficit track, as you noted. And that would be consistent with a declining debt to GDP ratio, which is a good practice.
Okay. Kevin.
Yeah, so never getting on again. Good practice,
I think in terms of the amount of...
So the conservative platform would be good practice. This guy's never getting on again. He's betrayed. That little video that they made. This one's actually pretty good too. So I want to give them credit. Now, for those who are not Canadian watching, for anybody watching in the States or anywhere else, the NDP is the kind of third party of Canada. It's never going to win a federal election, but it's the most woke party. It used to be like a working class party, a union party. Now it's just the purple hair party. Now it's just whatever crazy thing some gender studies professor says on the CBC, they're that. All right. So for context, that'd almost be better than Mark Carney. Almost be better. They did a pretty decent job with that one. All right. So what's happening here? An oil exec posted this, saying the media turn has begun. The gap is narrowing. We'll have to see. I mean, we will have to see what happens. I am not convinced that the polls are totally accurate. There's a couple of polls that have the Conservatives ahead. Are we seeing like a Kamala Carney effect, where the polls had it wrong all the way through? Now, the Kamala campaign admitted after the 2024 election that their internal polling had them behind the whole time, and had Trump winning the entire time. I wonder what Carney's internal polling says. Let's take a look. What does this say?
Until Election Day, new Ipsos polling done exclusively for Global News shows the gap between the Liberals and Conservatives is narrowing. The Conservatives now sitting at 38% nationally. The Liberals, though, still hold a 3-point lead over the Tories. The NDP has 12% of the vote, while the Bloc sits at 5% and the Greens at 2%. In terms of who Canadians believe would make the best prime minister, 41% chose Mark Carney, while 36% chose Pierre Poilievre. Jagmeet Singh coming in at a distant third with 11%.
Donald Trump and his constant threats to Canada seem to have subsided over the last few days, particularly the last week and a half. And as a result of that, the importance that issue has had in the campaign has started to decline. And Mr. Poilievre competes better when we're not focused on Mr. Trump.
When it comes to debate performance, Canadians.
Well, when Poilievre was allowed to remind Canadians why they hated the Liberals so much when Justin Trudeau was the leader, when he's allowed to remind them of that, and the fact that Mark Carney just plans to do the exact same thing on turbocharge, that's good. That's good for the Conservatives, right? Remind people, oh, yeah, these guys were bad. They did make all the same promises before. And let's see, Carney was advising Trudeau since 2020. There was newspaper articles about what a great thing that was. The economic genius, Mark Carney, coming on board to help Canada recover from all of the idiotic policies that Mark Carney was in favor of. Pardon me. So when Poilievre is able to remind Canadians, like, why we need a new government, what was all of the things that the Trudeau Liberals inflicted on Canadians that are simply, I mean, by Mark Carney's own words, I mean, they're just going to continue it. That tends to help. Now, are we going to see the kind of unregistered voter, are we going to see a rush of voters who aren't recognized by the pollsters showing up? We had 7.5 million people early voting. It was about 4.5 million the last election. That's huge. I mean, I know when I voted, it took an hour and a half. It was very busy. I showed up in the morning. The lineup was around the block. I came back later. I still ended up having to wait an hour and a half. All the people around me were not voting for Carney. I'm hearing a lot of stories about this. So are there a lot of people who just aren't, the pollsters don't know they exist? They're not in the pollsters' databases. And they're showing up, and it's going to make a difference of a couple of points, 2, 3, 4 points, who knows? That's what we're kind of counting on at this point, isn't it? And then people being exposed to some version of reality before the 28th. We have to hope, because if Carney wins, I mean, well, I can't hear. Like, this is a government paper. This is on the government website, Government of Canada. It is literally saying that if things keep going the way they are, and we know that they will if Mark Carney wins because he's telling us they will, you will have people that may have to hunt, fish, and forage on public lands like it's the Middle Ages so they don't starve. I mean, what universe are we in? Is this an alternate universe? Am I in a coma? Am I dreaming all this right now? What the hell is going on? How on earth could anybody support these same lunatics? Can this be real? Did I accidentally take like an overdose of like LSD or something and I'm just imagining all of this? How can this actually be real? How can this be real? I don't understand this. I'm losing my mind because it doesn't make any sense. How can this guy be real? How can the Brantford boomer be real? Is this like, did I end up in another dimension? Is that what happened? Because this just doesn't seem right. It doesn't seem like a sane country would even consider voting for people may start to hunt, fish, and forage on public lands to survive. That doesn't sound like a sane country to me. Would a sane country vote for, I'm doing the same things that ruined your life, only I'm going to do more of it because I know how the world works? What? How does that make any sense? Where's the wisdom of crowds? Exactly. Now, my point is it shouldn't even be close. How about this? Just more bullshit talk from Mark Carney. Here he is going back to his book, Values, right? With the stunningly original idea that there's the value of things, like what an apple costs, and then there's like human values, right? Hold on while I get my beret and my Che Guevara t-shirt, and I'll continue. What the fuck? Yeah, that's brilliant, Mark. Brilliant. That's original. Nobody ever thought of that before. Let's take a look.
I've spent a long time in the private sector. I know that markets in the private sector is some of the most powerful instruments that we've ever created, and that they can serve many goods and create many solutions.
I think he was about to say, and they can serve me.
But they also are indifferent to suffering and can be blind to our greatest needs. And I also know from long experience that markets, private sector freezes in a crisis. You see, the difference is that markets don't have values, people do. And
none of that actually means anything. None of that. So I guess we'll just keep doing the same thing, only turbocharged. We'll invest even more billions of dollars in EV battery things and cricket farms, even more, because this is the thing, right? This is the thing with all leftists. And Mark Carney is not a moderate. He's not a button-down moderate type. He is a radical leftist. All of his policies reflect that. And what they always do is, when their policies fail, and let's not forget, he was advising Justin Trudeau since at least 2020, newspaper articles across the country lauding this move for the economic genius who's going to fix everything, all right? When things go wrong, when their policies fail, they always have one solution. More leftism. It wasn't left enough. Every single time, it doesn't matter what it is. And that's what he's got for us, just that gibberish, that nothing. I mean, we're dealing with generational damage here, right? Young people not being able to, build a future as their parents and grandparents did. This is the definition of generational damage, I would say. And it will take a generation to fix it, but we got to start right now. We can't make it worse. I mean, think about that. If you're a young couple trying to start your life now, it's a different country than 10 years ago. 10 years ago, yeah, it was hard. And not everybody could do it, but a lot could. A lot still could. And it was hard, and they're going to have to work hard and say, but they could still do it. Now, you're a 25-year-old couple looking to start your family. It's over. Unless you've got a rich family, you're done. That's in 10 years. That's a different country. That's generational damage in 10 years. History goes slow, 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 and then very, very fucking fast. And it came real fast for the young generations in Canada. So this is serious. This is serious. This cannot be an election on, well, I like Mark Carney's voice, and TV said that Pierre Poilievre was mean, and I don't like mean people. This election cannot be that. This election has to be, Canada is a different country now. It no longer has the promise of the past. The young generations are being totally betrayed. And by the way, if you're expecting people to take care of you in 10 years, 15 years, or 20 years, it might be something you want to get on top of right now and say, and just throw them a bone maybe before they get too angry. So this is what we get. This is what we get, though. This is what passes for the future for Canada, for the mainstream media in Canada, for the establishment in Canada. This is it. Just a bunch of mealy-mouthed bureaucrat speech.
We choose. We choose. Yeah.
We choose. No, you choose. You and your friends choose.
We choose. You choose. We choose whether and how to close the gap between what the market prices and what we value.
And none of this means anything. It's a bunch of bullshit. It's garbage. It's a bunch of bureaucrat, kind of semi-Marxist garbage. It doesn't mean it. Can we have something practical? Can you explain something practical to us instead of just this kind of watered down version of your fantasy eco world? All right. So anyway, he doesn't like being challenged on any of this. But before we get to that, let's put it on the Golf Channel for a second while I deal with it's Paige Spiranek. Hell of a swing. It's hypnotic. Let's get to the chat for a minute. All right. Let's see. Rosie says, sovereignty with solidarity, vote Poilievre. Absolutely 100%. All right. Yeah, everybody, Dramus, saying to like the stream, and I would listen to him. He's a very wise man. Don't get left out. Don't be left behind. Also, subscribe if you're not subscribed. Do that immediately, actually. Jeez, you might forget. Just get on top of that right now. Nevada says, Carney, queen-size tampons in the boys' bathroom. Queen-size tampons in the boys' bathroom. So he's going to have to outdo Trudeau on that. So they're going to have to be, yes. Let's see. Rosie says, make North America great again. Well, we've got a bit of a ways to go up in Canada, I'm afraid. Rosie says, in my opinion, the decline in decorum was solidified when they put Tampax commercials on TV. Why is it now that, like, the evening news is just like medicines for horrible diseases and gastrointestinal problems? There should be a law against it. Let's see. 6 more days, Nevada says. 6 more days, I know. Oh, it's crazy. It's way too close. Let's see. As he says, 11% would vote for that idiot. You're talking about Jagmeet? I think he's going to end up, I honestly, I think he's going to end up with like about 12%, maybe 13%. I think that most people saw his performance at the debate and were appalled. You know, he just seemed like a teenager up there. He should have been wearing a beret and his Che Guevara t-shirt. And, but there's like, I think 13, 14, 15% of the country that liked it. They want to be ruled by an angsty teenager. If they could vote for Greta Thunberg, they would. They would vote for a tree with a face painted on it. Dark Shadow says the Conservatives will wipe the smile off the Liberals come election day. Hoping and praying. Let's see. Nevada says he fixed the UK. I had somebody say that to me. Well, but he saved the UK economy. I said, well, for the UK economy to be saved, it would actually have to be saved. It wouldn't be in shambles, right? So no, he didn't. And listen to what people from there are saying about him. Paolo says, Pierre for PM. Cannot afford the liberal misery anymore. Paolo says, wake up, Canada. Let's punt out the liberal woke policies. Yes, absolutely, 100%. Nevada makes a great point here. Let's go, Canada. Vote Conservative, 100%. Very nice. All right. Let's move on. So, Mark Carney does not like being questioned by the lowly press. He's already offered them he's already basically promised to be their new sugar daddy. So why should he have to explain anything to them? Their job is just to get him elected.
CBC. I'd like to follow up on that. Just if you've got an economist like Trevor Tombe saying that your plan is unsustainable, is just that. Is there an argument that if Pierre Poilievre is trying to bring down spending, bring down the deficit, that his plan is more fiscally responsible than yours?
Okay. There's one thing that you can write on a paper. There's another thing that will happen in the economy. Okay. So our plan, to be clear, is focused on investment and growing this economy. All of the spending,
Yes, investment in the same stuff that was a total boondoggle and waste of money when Trudeau was doing it under his advice. But this time it'll be different.
The investment in years 3 and 4 are for growing the economy. We are creating $500 billion of investment in this economy over the course of the next 4 years.
Spending, borrowed money, spending that we'll have to pay back, the interest on.
That sounds like an enormous number. It is an enormous number. And the vast, vast majority of that investment comes from companies like Marmon, our big investments in clean and conventional energy, our investments in auto, our investments.
See, clean energy, same investments as Trudeau. How many cricket farms this time? Is it going to be 100 million on cricket farms? I don't know.
In housing and beyond from the private sector, but with a clear directional plan. The Conservative plan.
Yes, a clear directional plan that will lead us straight to some people may start to hunt, fish, and forage on public lands. You better find out which are the edible mushrooms, because otherwise you're going to starve to death.
Makes it up. It literally makes it up. It says that growth will come from somewhere, even though there's no plan to address the biggest risk to our economy, the U.S., even though their tax cut.
Okay, this whole biggest threat to our economy. Okay, there's a reason why we do 80% of our trade with the U.S., because it's right next door. We always have. We're always going to. Guess what? We have oceans on either side of us, a frozen wasteland to the north. We are in the perfect position, being right next door to the largest economy in the world. I know we've hit a rough patch. Presidents don't stay forever, all right? And Trump, we know how Trump operates. He comes out with the big ask, all right? And then he settles down to something reasonable. It's the job of the prime minister, to say, which is just so blaringly obvious, right? To say, okay, the USMCA is coming up in 2026. Let's move it forward and we'll renegotiate it earlier and we'll come to a great agreement because it's the only sane goddamn thing we can do. And it will make sense. And when the U.S. economy is absolutely roaring in 6 months, a year from now, we're going to benefit from that enormously. That's what a responsible prime minister would do. He wouldn't sell us these fairy tales about how Canada is going to lead some sort of global coalition against the United States. Like, what on earth is this guy thinking? Aside from the fact that we are literally helpless, right? We rely on the United States military to protect us. This is all insanity. I know how the world works. Are you sure? Are you sure? Because there's a lot of people in the UK who don't think you know how it works. They think you know how to wreck things, and you seem to be well on your way to doing that now. It's all just maddening, isn't it? My government investment plan will grow the economy. Trust me, bro. It's just more progressive fantasies. But his resume. Look at his resume, but don't look too deep. Just take a quick look. It's great, right? Just take a quick. No, don't look too much. No, you've looked at it enough. No, but it's great, right? It's all just total. So what is happening? I must be in an alternate universe. What's this here? 2.8 billion hidden tax. What's this all about? From David Jacobs. What is he saying? Mark Carney has cleverly hidden a 2.8 billion line item in the Liberal platform, and it has gone completely unnoticed. He has proposed a carbon border adjustment mechanism. Let's go through what that means. So, promote fair competition with our trading partners by developing a carbon border adjustment mechanism. So that's just a tariff. It's a tariff on countries that don't have the same pie-in-the-sky climate regulations and carbon taxes and carbon pricing that Mark Carney wants them to. So that's just a tax on Canadians. The carbon border adjustment mechanism is a tariff applied to goods imported that come from a jurisdiction without a carbon tax. If we were to apply the same tariffs to carbon-intensive imports from the United States, they would amount to approximately $2.8 billion of additional revenue. That creates two problems. The most obvious is that the Trump administration will likely see these carbon-related adjustments for what they are, tariffs. This will add fire to the ongoing trade war, which I think will serve Carney perfectly well. Again, he's got this suicidal mission to destroy our relationship with the United States long term. This makes no sense. The more immediate concern is who will pay those tariffs. Those tariffs will be paid by Canadian taxpayers who are already among the most taxed citizens on the planet. Yes, Mark Carney doesn't care about any of this. He doesn't care. He doesn't want a good relation with the He doesn't want a good relationship with the United States. He's telling us he wants to have some alliance, some increased trade with Europe and China. We should do that as much as we can, but let's not delude ourselves, right? Like, for one thing, the only thing that Europe, the EU, wants from us is energy. And with Mark Carney, we won't be able to get that to them anyway, because he refuses to get rid of Bill C-69. And obviously, he's just totally philosophically opposed to that, just judging on everything he's ever written or said, regardless of what he's telling us in this election. The fact that he refuses to commit to getting rid of Bill C-69, it tells you everything you need to know. Of course, you want to diversify where you can, but obviously, when you're right next to the largest economy on Earth, it doesn't take an Oxford economist to figure out what you need to be doing. All right, or it's I mean, apparently, even an Oxford economist can't figure that out. It's quite remarkable. All right, hold on. What are we, an hour and 10 minutes in? Yikes. Ranting about Mark Carney. Feels pretty good. All right. What's this? Mark Carney says our relationship with the United States is officially over. I mean, this is so bafflingly idiotic. I mean, if you actually cared about the well-being of Canadians, this is bafflingly idiotic. If you're only concerned about your weird globalist plans, then I guess it doesn't matter. Let's take a look.
This is the most consequential vote of our lifetimes because President Trump has ignited a trade war that is ruptured.
Listen to those train seals. Good Lord.
Sure, no, we don't like Trump here. Ruptured the global economy and changed forever.
We don't like Trump here. We don't like Trump. Are you out of your mind? Are you out of your mind? You're planning on winning this election. In his mind, I'm sure he's going to be prime minister on the 28th, or the night of the 28th. Are you sure that's wise? That's exactly the sort of thing Justin Trudeau was saying when he was prime minister. Are you sure that's not bafflingly idiotic and irresponsible and reckless?
Our relationship with the United States. That old relationship is over, unfortunately. It never 51.
He's supposed to be a caretaker prime minister. Good Lord. Seriously, the U.S. has midterms in under 2 years and a new president in under 4. Meanwhile, 80% of our trade depends on them. This isn't leadership. It's a power grab. Same old liberal playbook. Fear, spin, control. It's also bafflingly idiotic, right? There's no sane economist who would say this is a great idea. Anybody would just, you don't need to be an economist, just a normal human being who's thought about it for 3 seconds to go, this is crazy, stop talking. All right. All right, let's move on. So we did see Pierre talking about this dystopian report coming out of the liberal government itself. All right, we saw that. Okay. So, from Pierre Poilievre, the Conservative Change Plan. Cut the Liberal deficit by 70%, cutting waste. Consultants. Yes, the Liberals have spent hundreds of $millions on consultants, like McKinsey. Bureaucracy for a change. Cut income tax 15% for a change. Axe sales tax on new homes for a change. Lock up criminals for a change. Put Canada first by bringing home our jobs for a change. You know, sometimes you just simply need a new direction, right? Why do they say Pierre's mean, by the way? Why do they keep saying he's mean, right? Well, they say it because it will convince people who can't see beyond their own shadow to vote for them. But they keep saying that he's mean, right? Because just anything that sounds like a cut is just mean to them, right? So it doesn't matter if it's totally wasteful. Doesn't matter if it's just a complete waste of money. We're going to cut by 100% all of the pallets of money that the prime minister is taking out into the prairies and piling up in a pile and putting gasoline on and burning for no reason. Well, that sounds mean. That's cuts. He's going to cut the money burning program that Canadians rely on. It's really, I guess, almost or actually that idiotic. Mean. Sometimes you actually have to make decisions. Like, that's just kind of anybody who runs their own finances understands. Like, you can't just have everything all the time. All right. You know, I see some criticism because Pierre Poilievre will talk to different groups, different demographics. I don't see the problem here. It was great to speak at the Vaisakhi celebrations in Surrey with thousands of patriotic Canadians. Let's fight together to restore the promise of our great country and put Canada first for a change. I see a lot of PPC, like, just attacking this because he's just talking to these people. Like, I mean, I think Maxime Bernier has a lot of great ideas. There's no point in voting for him in this election because it can only hurt us. It's too important in this election. We can't afford to allow Mark Carney to get in, and there will be a fundamental difference with the Conservatives, with the Pierre Poilievre. There's a fundamental philosophic difference between the two. So I don't really get, like, why, like, they're going to vote. Like, why shouldn't we talk to them? Right? Like, do they share some of our values? I mean, maybe that's a good thing, right? I don't understand this. Like, he goes and talks to people and then is like attacked because, like, I don't, this is the world. This is the world now. This is Canada now. What else do you expect him to do? I find it bizarre. Anyway. And we are getting reasonable stuff from him on immigration anyway. Let's take a look.
I should add that on top of building 2.3 million new homes, we also need to outpace population growth. Conservatives will cap immigration to ensure that we always add homes faster than we add people. That is the only way to do it. The ratio of new homes to new people will be its highest in history under a new Conservative government. That means that the market will get looser and Canadian renters and buyers will be shopping around and they're going to see more houses for sale rather than competing with an excess number of people, an excess amount of debt being flooded into the economy. What we'll have is options so that our young people can actually afford to buy. This is all part of our plan to restore Canada's promise and to bring real change to Canadians.
So Carney, right now, with Carney, and he's saying it's going to stay at this, which is 395,000 permanent residents a year. Pierre Poilievre is talking about capping it at what it was under the Harper administration, the Harper government, which was 250,000, if there's room. So it's tied to housing. That's an improvement. I would like to see, personally, considering that we're in a population trap right now, it brought down to the absolute minimum. Like, okay, we need some doctors for sure, right? As long as they're qualified. We need some more nurses too, right? Stuff that we absolutely need. Do we need 250,000 permanent residents right now? I'm really not sure. I'm really not sure about that. I don't think that we do. But in any case, it's tied to housing anyway, right? This is reasonable, right? The thing about Pierre is that and the Conservative Party now, it's not perfect, right? But I'm a pragmatist. I don't want the perfect to be the enemy of the good. I don't want to end up with the worst of all possible outcomes because I didn't get perfection. That makes no sense to me. That's not rational, right? I want improvement. And I think that we will see major improvement. Now, is there a chance we could be betrayed? Yeah. I mean, I watched what happened with the Conservative Party in the UK and how they betrayed their voters, but we have to give them a chance, right? I don't think Pierre will do that anyway. But there's only one way to go. There's only one way to go now, because the alternative is, well, what was it again? It was people may start to hunt, fish, and forage on public lands so they could eat. So that's the alternative. So I don't know. I don't know how you guys feel about that, but that seems like worse. All right. All right. This guy is now the mascot for the Liberals forever. Not just this election, forever. He is now Mr. Liberal forever. The Brantford Boomer. Canadian Heritage Minutes. The Brantford Boomer, a part of our history from the National Roast. He is. I mean, it's funny because he is. He's the Ree. I still stick the Ree woman from 2016. I still put her on thumbnails sometimes. She just is. She will live forever, right? She's eternal. He is as well. He is now going to be the face of the Liberal Party forever. He's a perma meme. He's never going away because it's just so perfect. It's so perfect. It perfectly encapsulates the moment, right? Like the look on his face too. He is so certain, right? It's a senior behaving like a teenager, which we've never seen in Canada before. And we're seeing this en masse. Right. Of course, he doesn't represent all boomers in Canada. Obviously, there's a lot of amazing boomers, and they did create a kind of amazing country. It's just that there's a part of that demographic now that is just gone. I think that they were infected by the woke mind virus. It seems like you'd think seniors would be immune to it, but they're not. Not all of them. I think most of them are, but not all of them. And this is undignified. This would have been considered incredibly undignified not that long ago in Canada. Seniors would not have behaved like this. Something has happened. Their minds have been parasitized, just like that, purple-haired, 20-year-old who's out protesting against something that they don't know what, but they just know that it's bad. He will live forever in infamy, that guy. Let's see. So what's this? Site Election Task Force identifies new concerns on election interference from China, suppressing Conservative candidate Joe Tay. What's new? Nothing's new. Let's take a look. I'm guessing CBC won't be too bothered with this.
Good morning. You mentioned a possible tie through Facebook to the Chinese government in the operation that you've explained today. Could you elaborate on that, and to what degree is this repression operation you've identified the work of Beijing?
And then I'll invite my colleagues to jump in. So as I said, attribution can take time. It requires a lot of analysis. And so at this point, what we can say is that one Facebook account has been historically linked to PRC and pro-PRC elements. And maybe I'll turn to Larissa if you have more to add.
Sure. Thank you. I think it's important to remember that the material that we're seeing now is mostly linked to the bounty that was placed on Mr. Tay in December of 2024. We know who issued that bounty and what's behind it, and that it is specifically about his advocacy work in relation to Hong Kong. So that is the...
Yeah, so the Chinese Communist Party is all in for Mark Carney for some reason. I guess probably because they're concerned about the well-being of Canadians, I guess, right? Which is why that they've been constantly interfering to the benefit of Liberals since 2019, at least. Why they interfered in the Liberal leadership race to benefit Mark Carney. Why they've been interfering the entire race to benefit Mark Carney. Let's see, you had Paul Chang, the Liberal MP, who told his supporters that they could take Joe Tay, the Conservative, to the Chinese consulate and claim the bounty on his head that was put on his head by the Chinese Communist Party. And he said, I'm just kidding, but you really could do that, and there really is a bounty, so I'm just saying. Who Mark Carney, of course, refused to can. I don't know. Nothing to see here. This is all totally normal. All totally normal. Yep, just business as usual. This is literally business as usual in Canada now. Of course, this will all be covered up, swept under the rug, like everything. Guess what? Mark Carney promised $150 million extra to CBC. But I guess he'd have to get elected to give it to him, huh? Oh, geez. Let's see. Yep, there you go. That's the... And again, he is now immortal. He is now immortal. He's just, his face is so filled with this kind of gleeful hate. And that's why he's so perfect. Do you want to hear from just some normal Canadians? Here's CBC. Ian Hadamansing. He's got some callers in. I guess this probably made him kind of uncomfortable. Let's hear it.
Whereabouts are you, Leo?
I'm in Markham.
Okay. And what party do you feel is looking out best for your financial interests?
Well, from what the Conservatives, Poilievre is his platform, I think will help affordable housing more than the Liberals.
And is affordable housing an issue that is important, that kind of has an impact on your life?
Well, sure.
But
my kids can't even live in my area because houses are too expensive. And a lot of it has to do with HST.
Yeah. Whereabouts are you, Leo?
I'm in Markham.
Okay.
Yep. Will we see a bunch of people who have not voted in the past or not voted very often? They're just simply not available to the pollsters. They're not in their data sets that have come out, that have already come out, 7.5 million early voting, and they're going to come out and make the difference. I don't know. All right. So I think we've gotten through all of that. We've got a little more on Canada, and then we'll just move on to just kind of random news around the world. All right. Let's get to the chat first, though. Let's put on a cooking show. Let's put on the Noodle show. Noodle cooking. We all enjoy noodle cooking. I find this one particularly relaxing and kind of hypnotic, really. There's something about noodle making that's very, very hypnotic. All right. Let's move on. Let's get into the chat. Let's see. What should we do? Should we do a crazy ad? Let's do it. Let's go nuts. Weak coffee is for the weak, and at Rumble, weak has never been part of the mission. No fillers, no fraud, no communism, no settling for mediocrity, just like 1775 coffee. It's single origin, small farm, hand-picked, anti-communist, specialty-grade coffee that stands for quality, free speech, and calling out Marxist BS when it matters most. Forget stale, mass-produced beans roasted just enough to hide the Marxism and flaws. Dark roast hits like a Trump tariff. Medium roast keeps it bold without the bitterness. And Vitality Mushroom Blend, well, that's real energy and lasting focus. No synthetic gummy garbage. For K-Cup pods, whole bean, or fresh ground coffee, go to 1775coffee.com. Use code STUDIO for 15% off and start your morning with coffee that stands for something. Oh, and every dollar spent enters you to win a Cybertruck and $30,000 cash. That's a Cybertruck and $30,000 cash. That's a lot. There we go. Izzy says, coffee ad. Lay day is now complete. Rosie says, I wonder if she paid someone or bedazzled her own shorts. You know, she did it herself. She's just that kind of gal. Nevada says, what shorts? All right, let's go back a little bit in the chat. Let's see. Nevada says, I need some energy. Well, I don't know. I don't know what I can do for you. I mean, I'm a little low on energy myself. So I had a couple of coffees, didn't work. I had some cocaine, that didn't work. Did some crystal meth, that didn't work. I ate the entire human adrenaline gland. Nothing. I mean, what the hell am I supposed to do? I mean, where can I find the kind of energy I need to keep me going on this stream? Because it's tough, you know? It just keeps going on and on. I got to keep talking. Where would I find the kind of energy that's going to get me through this?
They them energy. They them energy. They them energy. They them energy.
And teapot. Never gets old. I think somebody gives me a thumbs down every single time I play that, but I'm never going to stop because I love it. I love it. Let's see. Rosie says, so Carby talks forever to explain in silky terms what can be summed up in 3 words. Kami gets nothing. Well, does he? Let's take a look. Let's hear him talk for a second and see if that's what happens.
Vous dites que vous avez un plan responsable.
You say that you have a responsible plan, but at the same time, when someone like Trevor Trooms is saying of your plan that the fiscal direction you're proposing is unsustainable for Canada potentially, what do you think of that? Well, I have a lot of experience.
Shut up, Kami. Kami gets nothing. That felt good. That felt really good. Let's see. Izzy says, globalist crazy commie Carney, but then that's redundant. Here's the thing about Carney is that he's in a different world. He spent his years from a young age in the kind of, starting out in the hallowed halls and the ivory towers of Harvard and Oxford, and he moved straight to Goldman Sachs, and then he got into the Canadian government, became the head of the Bank of Canada, and then he went and wrecked England as chair of the Bank of England, and then he went into Brookfield, and he lives in a different world. His life has been looking at numbers on spreadsheets, and that's why it seems like when he speaks with his imperiousness and his smugness, that you might be nothing more than a number on a spreadsheet to him. That's because you are. That's what he's learned. That's his experience in life. He doesn't hang out with people like you. You're not allowed to hang out with people like him, right? You are a peasant. You are an ant in the anthill that is Canada to him. And he is that child with poor impulse control and unstable emotionally on a hot summer day who's holding a magnifying glass above you. You are a number on a spreadsheet to this man. You are not from his world. He is not from your world. All right. You are a number on a spreadsheet. You are a faceless cog in his progressive machine. That's all he cares about. His Glasgow Financial Alliance for Net Zero, GFANZ, had fallen apart by the time he decided he wanted to be Prime Minister of Canada. Even the Canadian banks had dropped out of this. This must have been humiliating for him because this was his crowning achievement in his weird globalist eco plans. I wonder if he sees being Prime Minister as a way to redress this. Right? So the thing that didn't work and lost people money, so the banks dropped out of it, he wants to lift that phoenix back up from the flames, even though it's bad. But it's his thing, right? It must have been deeply embarrassing for him, for all those banks, especially Canadian banks, to drop out. Do you think that the self-described elitist globalist might have an ego? All right, let's get down a little bit on this chat, and then we will continue. As you saw, let's get back to the noodles. We'll finish up the last of the chat here. Rosie asks, what do you put in your coffee, everyone? Mine is cream and sugar. I just like milk. Let's see. All right, now we're just talking about noodles and coffee. All right. Rosie says, coffee, bold, no bitterness, commie hate, growls, enthusiasm, 1777 out of 10. That's the best you can do out of 10, I believe. You can't do it any better out of 10 than that. Thank you for that rating of my coffee ad read. Let's see. Let's see. CJ Freeza tells us this is pretty trash live. Very nice. Thank you so much. Izzy says 1776 out of 10. Always enjoy your coffee. Well, thank you so much. That's only one away from the most you can possibly get. Let's see. Izzy says, hold on. Wonder if it sounds better at double time. Are you talking about they, them energy? It probably does. It makes everything better. All right. Drama says, did you see the energy image I posted on X? I don't know. It might be in the thing. It might be coming up. Maybe I can look for it later. All right. So let's continue. All right. So we already saw this. So Leviathan posted this. Hamas loyalist mother gets her young son to spit on the United States and Israel flags in Victoria, BC. Thanks, Trudeau. If you want to see a lot more people like this brought to Canada, please vote Liberal this Canadian election. I always liked the fact that the Middle East wasn't in Canada, that we didn't have ancient blood feuds in the country. I don't know. Is that really great? Is this Canadian values now? I guess Trudeau did tell us, probably Mark Carney taught him to say this, but Trudeau did tell us that we're in a post-national country, the first post-national country with no core identity. So I guess we'd just be whatever everybody else is. And I guess we're this now. Great. Thank you. Let's see what else we got. On the issue of Alberta's separation, Keith Wilson, KC, posted this. So he brings up a very good case here. Right now, Alberta's separation, support for it in Alberta is 30%. And there's no leader of that. So with a Mark Carney government, and basically, a shutdown of Alberta energy, which is, is coming. That's what Carney has been talking about for a decade. Let's take a look.
There is a strong, and people have been poo-pooing the idea of Alberta separation for a couple of weeks. Like all the major commentators have said, oh, it'll never work. They've only got 30% support. They've got 30% support without a movement. They got 30% support without a leader. You worked for Preston Manning. You know what the Reform Party would have been without Manning.
Right.
And you know what it became with Manning.
Right.
So if a Manning-like figure steps forward to say, I'm quite prepared to lead a separatist or independent movement or a nationalist movement or a redo Confederation movement, that 30%, I think, could easily become 40 or 45%. And with the right circumstances, could get over 50%. And you'll remember the Clarity Act says, in order to leave, you need a 50% majority on a clear question. So do I think it's completely out of line? No. Like, what would have happened in 1989, 1990 if Preston Manning had said the West wants out rather than the West wants in? We would now have had either we would have had separation already, or we would at least have a very strong independent movement in Alberta. I think we could get Saskatchewan to go with us.
Oh, yeah.
Now, I remember you and I a long time ago when we were both much younger and not involved in what we're doing now, talking about whether or not we would want Saskatchewan because it was leftist and it was poor. I'd take Saskatchewan in a heartbeat now. It's very much like Alberta culturally, politically, and it has higher percentages of independent movement or independent support than Alberta does. Alberta, because Alberta is well off, reasonably well off, it's a little bit harder to move that needle over to separation because are we going to mess up what we...
Well, I've said it before, I'll say it again. History goes slow, 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 and then very fast. And history is just the history of people waking up, and the whole world is totally different. Their world is suddenly totally different. And a lot of people never saw it coming. So, again, I don't think we can minimize how damaging a continuation, in fact, not just a continuation of the Trudeau years, but the Trudeau years going into hyperdrive. I don't think we can minimize just how damaging that will be, the kind of effect that can have on national unity. I think it's a real serious issue, to be honest, a very serious issue. And again, history has a way of surprising people and surprising them very quickly. And let's see. So there is, all right, hold on. I want to show you something here. Here's an article from the Winnipeg Sun. All right. Kevin Klein, beware the next Liberal tax may be on the roof over your head. Now, I made a video about this, I don't know, a couple of years ago, I think now, where the Trudeau government had been studying essentially a wealth tax on houses. So houses over $1 million. And this would have gone from, anywhere from like $5,000 to like $20,000 and more, depending on how much money your house was worth. So you would have had, this was clearly a plan to steal seniors' houses from, to make it impossible for seniors on pensions to live in the houses they've lived in their entire lives, so that they could be taken over and turned into apartments or whatever for all of the millions of people that the Liberals are determined to continue bringing into Canada. Let's take a look. There's a hard truth that Canadians need to wake up to, especially homeowners. The government is broke. But don't worry, Mark Carney's a former central banker, and he knows how to print money. The numbers don't lie. Federal debt has more than doubled since 2015, climbing past $1.2 trillion. Interest payments on that debt are now larger than what Ottawa spends on healthcare transfers to the provinces. That's what I've been saying. They've run out of room to borrow without consequences. They've run out of excuses, and now they're running out of people to tax, except you. If you own a home, particularly if it's paid off, congratulations. You're about to become the government's next target. This is something the government has been studying for a while now. The Trudeau Liberals were studying this. and having meetings about this. For years, Liberal governments have hunted for new revenue sources. First, it was high-income earners. Then it was small businesses. Then it was emissions. And now they've found the motherlode, home equity. This is the way that it works. This is the way that radical progressivism goes. They just keep needing to find more and more money. More and more, because they waste it, right? We have nothing to show for all of Trudeau's investment, all of the money borrowed for Trudeau's investment. We have nothing to show for that. We will have nothing for Carney's investments either. So they just need to keep finding more sources of money. The combined equity in Canadian homes, what people actually own after mortgages, is worth trillions. That's not a typo, trillions. This wealth wasn't handed out. It wasn't generated by government programs. It was built by Canadians who worked overtime, cut spending, and took risks to buy property and maintain it. When politicians see numbers that big, especially politicians like Carney, they don't think about personal sacrifice. They see opportunity. They see a pot of money they didn't earn, but can tap, spin, and reframe as a solution to national problems, especially now with new programs promised and no fiscal discipline in sight. You can see where this is going, right? You can see where this is going. And you have to consider as well, I always ask you to consider, Mark Carney has spent his whole life looking at numbers on spreadsheets. That's what you are. That's what the value of your home is. It's just a number on a spreadsheet to him. It's just a spreadsheet to be manipulated towards his goals. That brings us to Mark Carney. Carney isn't the face of some new centrist revival. He's a polished version of the same liberal machine that brought you exploding deficits, carbon taxes, and economic drift. His priorities remain aligned with the party's true agenda: wealth redistribution at any cost, dressed up in the language of climate action and fairness. They might throw an equity in there too. Let's not kid ourselves. Home equity taxes are not a conspiracy theory. They've been studied repeatedly by the government's own institutions. Subscribe to my channel and you can dig back, I don't know, a year or so and see the video I made about these studies the Trudeau government was doing on just this. The Canada Mortgage and Housing Corporation, fully backed by the federal government, funded research into taxing the equity in people's primary homes. They didn't do it once. They've done it several times. Each time it leaked, they denied it. Each time public outrage died down, they resumed. Why would anybody trust these people? Why would seniors vote for this? I guess they just don't know. I mean, this is going to be a big surprise to them when it inevitably happens. Because the country's broke because of Mark Carney, if he wins. Let's see. Their go-to advisor, a man who refers to homeowners as lottery winners. That's the worldview now circulating in Ottawa, that if you managed to own a home in Canada, it wasn't because you saved and worked hard. It was blind luck, and lucky people in their minds should be taxed. That's the groundwork being laid, not for fun, not for sport, out of necessity. The federal government is out of cash, and unlike businesses that cut expenses, they only know how to solve problems one way: take more. So it does need to be noted, that these are just plans. For now, the risk of a home equity tax remains theoretical, but fiscal pressures could change that in the future. They're studying it. They want to do it. The only question is, can they get away with it? Can they get away with it? If Carney gets a mandate in this election, what do you think? Do you think he might just go for it? I think he might. I mean, he has full expectation that the media will tidy it all up for him and try and make it as, appetizing as possible, as appealing as possible to the public. So I don't know. Makes you wonder, though, if that does go through. And where were we? If it does go through, and this guy ends up paying, an extra $20,000 a year wealth tax on his house, will he still be doing that? Will he still be as big of a Liberal supporter as before? I don't know. The stupidity is so rife. I don't know. I think there are people that if Mark Carney told them that he was going to take their homes, give them to people that got to Canada 15 minutes ago, and but he would give them a shovel and they could go into the woods and dig a hole to live in, they would still vote for him. I know it sounds crazy, but that's just what I think. All right. World Economic Forum, the WEF. This is funny. We'll watch this in a second. This is quite amusing. But this is the new interim chairman of the WEF, the World Economic Forum, because Klaus Schwab wasn't Bond villain enough. This guy. I mean, it was down to a couple, but the other ones didn't have red blood eyes. So, this guy obviously took it. The other guys are evil. They'd be believable as Bond villains, but they don't have the red blood eye. And that really takes it. That really cements it for us. We're taking blood eye guy. He looks really evil. I mean, just look at his face. Look at his face. Look at this man. Now, I'm sure shortly there'll be a picture coming out of him wearing that weird Klaus Schwab evil, super villain costume. But he doesn't even really need it because of the blood eye. I was born with the blood eye. I don't know what his accent is. I don't know what his name is. I imagine he sounds something like that. They always do. Anyway, they're not. Are they just telling us now? Are they just like, they thought that Klaus wasn't obviously evil enough, that their organization wasn't obviously evil enough, so they had to get this guy with the blood eye. The guy he can't even do anything. Looking like that, I don't think you could even be qualified to do anything else in the world other than be the head of the World Economic Forum or some evil organization in a James Bond novel. Nobody else would take you. Is it my blood eye? Yes, it's your blood eye. It's always your blood eye. Why don't you have that fixed? There must be something you can do. How about an eye patch? Although that would also make him look evil. So I don't know. Let's see. Spambot says Blood Eye is the former CEO of Nestle, who famously said access to clean water isn't a human right. All right, let's see if there's something underneath here. Let's see. Give me your children, your taxes on your motorbike. Looks like a demon. Sarah Field says he does. He looks fake. I don't know. There will be hell to pay. Hell to pay. I see. There will be hell to pay. Would he look less evil or more evil with the toupee? I think the toupee makes him look more evil, I think. Let's see. So it's only a matter of time until he is in the Klaus Schwab getup here, that evil villains league costume that Klaus Schwab used to like to wear. I'm sure he's got one too. Yikes, a real life Bond villain. They're not trying to hide it. They are not trying to hide it. They want us to know. What's going on with this? Let's see. What's going on here? Liz Churchill, arrest this communist. World Economic Forum has stated that an incoming water crisis will succeed because their climate change narrative has failed. Well, that's the sort of thing an evil organization would do. An evil global organization. Let's hear her describe it to us.
In our nation and globally. And did we solve that? Did we actually manage to vaccinate everyone in the world? No. So highlighting water as a global commons and what it means to work together and see it both out of that kind of global commons perspective, but also the self-interest perspective, because it does have that parallel. It's not only important, but it's also important because we haven't managed to solve those problems which had similar attributes. And water is something that people understand. Climate change is a bit abstract. Some people understand it really well. Some understand it a bit. Some just don't understand it. Water, every kid knows how important it is to have water. When you're playing football and you're thirsty, you need water. So there's also something about really getting citizen engagement around this and really, in some ways, experimenting with this notion of the common good. Can we actually deliver this time in ways that we have failed miserably other times? And hopefully we won't keep failing on the other things. But anyway.
Yeah, by deliver, she apparently means brainwash or indoctrinate, something like that. Yeah, that's not, threatening the world about water is definitely not something an evil organization would do. Definitely not. Let's see. All right. I wanted to show you this. Let's end it off on a positive note here from Danny Polishchuk. This is quite old. I've shown this to you guys before, a while ago. But this is him. He green screened himself into a World Economic Forum event here as a stand-up, warm-up, entertainment. In honor of Klaus Schwab retiring, here's a video of that time he let me do stand-up at the World Economic Forum. It didn't go well, but I'm thankful for the opportunity. This is pretty good. Let's take a peek.
Hey, what's up, everybody? My name is Danny Polishchuk, and I'm going to be your host for this evening's Crystal Awards here at the World Economic Forum in Davos, Switzerland. Big round of applause for everybody who came out here tonight. All right, that's enough applause, everybody. I will say you folks over here in Davos really know how to treat people. I was just backstage before I came out here, and the spread was incredible. I've never eaten so many different kinds of bugs in my life. Nah, just kidding. I know you guys aren't the ones who are actually eating the bugs. It's just the poor people. Speaking of poor people, where's Elon Musk at? Elon, is he here? Oh, I guess he couldn't make it today because he's too busy losing money. A lot of familiar faces in the crowd tonight. Familiar, of course, to Jeffrey Epstein's pilot. I see you. Yeah, a few of you have been to Epstein's Island. Don't be bashful. Pretty much everyone here tonight flew in on a private jet, as per usual. I will say, everybody in this room probably released more gas than Klaus Schwab's stinky ass. Klaus, I see you over there, Klaus. And also, we got our man of the hour tonight, Idris Elba. Everybody, big round of applause for Idris Elba. Idris Elba, yeah, I guess because you couldn't get to be James Bond in the movies, I figured you just come and hang out with some real-life supervillains. I'm not sure if Idris Elba, if you're getting paid to be here tonight, or if your payment is Klaus Schwab just letting you see your family ever again. Speaking of Klaus Schwab, everybody, round of applause for Klaus Schwab. Without that man, there would be no World Economic Forum. Klaus, where's your fancy getup? That crazy leather suit. Where'd you get that thing, by the way? Villains are us? Klaus has famously said that people will own nothing and be happy. Well, Klaus, I own nothing and I'm sad. Explain that. George Soros couldn't make it tonight, unfortunately. He had to cancel last minute because he's too busy destabilizing the West. All right, everybody, have a great rest of your World Economic Forum, and I've been Danny Polishchuk. And if nobody hears from me next week, it's because I've been killed. Anyways, have a good night, everybody.
I think he nailed it. All right. Let's get back to the chat for a minute. All right. Well, I'll put it on the golfing show while we're looking at the chat. G Flood. How you doing, G Flood? The bad guy from the last action hero. Nevada said, Terminator Eye. I called it. You did. You did indeed. Rosie said, horrifying. We're talking about the new WEF leader here, Blood Eye. We just call him Blood Eye. Spambot says, Blood Eye is the former CEO of Nestle, who famously, yes, he wants to use clean water as a weapon against humanity, to control humanity, apparently, which is definitely not Definitely not a supervillain thing to do. Oh, wait a second. It is. It totally is. All right. Let's see. All right. I'm going to skip through the chat a little bit. Epstein's pilot. Yes, it was very good. And Rosie said, spot on. The dead air response is so funny. Tough crowd. Yeah, it's good. I enjoyed that. Enjoyed it immensely. All right. So we're done with the WEF weird villain lunatics. So the crime against Teslas is being taken seriously by law enforcement, but you've still got a lot of activist judges out there, and that's a problem. I mean, therefore I am posted this. This is Minnesota state employee Dylan Bryan Adams, who was held for 24 hours after vandalizing 6 Teslas in Minneapolis, causing $21,000 in damage. Despite that, Hennepin County won't file charges and is instead placing him in a first-time offender diversion program. I think this is, at this point, when you see it en masse like this, it's, it's what else do you call it, really? It's vandalizing strangers' property for political motives. What do you call that? Let's see, no sound here. I mean, he's caught on camera. He's dead to rights. I think when it becomes a political thing, like this is obviously trying to intimidate other citizens because he thinks they have a Nazi car because Elon Musk waved to a crowd. I mean, it's just, adults don't behave like this. It's a mind virus. People like this, their minds have been infected by an idea pathogen. Their brains are now infected. They have the woke mind virus. They don't have agency. They don't have free will anymore. They are just serving the mind virus at this point. They are trying to spread the idea pathogen to other weak-minded people. It's just crazy. Adults don't behave like this. And most of the people you see doing this, they're people like him. They're not like mentally ill drug addicts that are just acting crazy. They're normal people. And it's quite concerning when you have people willing to just damage other people's property at great cost to them because, again, you think it's a Nazi car because Elon Musk waved at a crowd. Oh, and TV said. Sorry, I forgot that TV said. Yeah. Maybe that's the most important part. Let's see. Let's do some memes. People. What do you think? Rosie says, I will take what is terrorism for 1,000, Richie. You win. But you get nothing. But you win, though. You're right. It's called terrorism. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. All right. Let's just do some memes. So the show's winding down now. We should be, I don't know, maybe we got half an hour, maybe an hour left. But let's keep going. Try to get a little bit lighter on the backside of the show. Deputy PM Chrystia Freeland shown here, pulling another answer out of the Liberal vault. She did that a lot. Did we ever get an answer to why she's so twitchy, by the way, either? Like, what was it? Was it like, I don't know, do SSRIs do that? Or was it just like meth or something? Diet pills? I don't know. Let's see, what's this? My greatest achievement as vice president of the U.S. was to certify Donald J. Trump as the 47th president. That's about it. I think at the end of the day, she was probably relieved she didn't win. She knew she wasn't up for it. I mean, she could barely get through a campaign, right? She was drunk half the time. I think that what we saw from her, because you know that her aides were trying to keep her from having too many, probably only letting her have a couple, But if you're on the SSRIs, then that combines, for a lot of people, that combines with the booze, and it makes them more drunk. So that's what I think. I think she was on anxiety meds, and then she'd have like a couple before she got up to speak, and then it just went bad. Cryptomaria says, pick me a winner, Freeland. She can't. They're all the ideas that come out of her ass are terrible ideas, I'm afraid. It just doesn't work. It's unfortunate. If she's pulling something out of her ass, it stinks. So, unfortunately. What's this? I think these are ones that were sent to me by, was it Miles and Rosie, I think. Tired of political posts. Here's a picture of my dog. His name is MAGA. That's just designed to make leftists go insane. And I approve. Wife, why didn't you do the dishes? Me, pretty sure they passed the law that I can't participate in women's sports. What? That is offensive. How dare you? How dare you? All right. How much for this furnished apartment? Sir, this is a gun store. But for John Wick, that feels like home. I don't know. I approve. Let's see. What's this? From Cat Canada. Seriously, who does this guy think he is? Hi, Canada. I just moved here. Anyway, your relationship with America is over now. That's exactly what happened. This man has barely lived in Canada as an adult. He just was parachuted in. He was seen as the savior for the mainstream media, particularly for the CBC. Parachuted in. It was just nothing but glowing reviews, and he's buttoned down and moderate, even though everything we know about him proves that false. But he's not going to defund the media. He's not going to defund the CBC. In fact, he's willing to just openly bribe them with the offer of an extra $150 million worth of funding, because that's super normal. That's totally normal. Nothing corrupt in that whatsoever. I mean, a caretaker prime minister is what he is. That's what he's supposed to be. He's not supposed to be making, radical unilateral statements when he's been prime minister for like 2 days. It's insane. It's insane. This is so reckless. It is so reckless. It's just, I don't know what other word other than just bafflingly idiotic. That's it. Bafflingly idiotic, insane, and reckless. Anyway, your relationship with America is over now. What? Are you sure? Are you sure you've thought this through? Hold still. Yes, he's putting lipstick on the liberal pig, because that's exactly what's happening, as depressing as it is. There's an old saying, if a hot girl texts you about crypto, block him. Yes, block that hot girl. Block him. Let's see. Critical Peon Theory posted this. Matt Janes, the unfortunate dude who is now the liberal boomer meme for the rest of his vaccinated life, is a perfect metaphor for Carney. I hope this sticks in Canadians' minds like nothing else. They're the same picture. Yes, they are. I wonder, if Pierre Poilievre, and I'm still there. I still think that Pierre Poilievre will win. I think that we'll get a minority government. I think there's a lot of Canadian voters that just aren't recognized by the pollsters. They're not in their databases. There's a lot of new pollsters, a lot of young voters that they're just not going to know about. But in any case, yes, they are the same picture. Let's see. What's this one? Ocasio-Cortez. Now, Gad calls her occasional cortex. Ocasio-Cortez severely burned after accidentally touching book on basic economics. Ow. Ow. She should really get out of politics, I think. Let's see. We already did this. How to tell you're in a really bad neighborhood. I guess it's moderately funny. All right. Woke mind virus. What's that all about? What's going on? Woke leftists vandalized the Riley Gaines sign. The woke left are what they claim to be against. You can't even, there's no point even informing them of this, because they are incapable of reasoning. Let's take a look.
Hey, what are you doing? What are you doing? Stop. Can you, hey,
Don't kill me. Don't kill me.
Hey, what the hell? What the hell? Get back here with my sign. Get back here with our sign. Hey, your phone dropped. Your phone in your shoe. Your phone in your shoe. Hey, come back here. We want to talk to you. We want to talk to you. Come back here, please. That's a damage to our property. Somebody stop this guy. Oh my God.
Let's go forward a little
You're
bit.
going to jail, buddy. What's your name? Why did you touch our signs? Why did you touch our signs? I'm reporting you to authorities. Why did you damage our signs?
Yeah, that's totally sane. Totally sane. Losing your phone and your shoe to steal a sign, very strange. This is a parasitized mind. Unfortunately, that's what it does to them. That's what it makes them behave like. Let's see. Now I don't know if this is. I think we're gonna play a. I think we're gonna play.
You're right. It's fact. It's a total fabrication.
Because I'm not sure if this is real or satire. It seems like it has to be satire. It doesn't seem like this can be real, but I will leave it up to you, and we'll decide. Andy No posted this. A bearded man who identifies as a woman gave a speech at the London trans protest against the UK Supreme Court, where he complains about being misgendered. Now, the thing is, the left has so damaged satire and comedy that it's no longer. It is now, leftist ideology is now indistinguishable from satire, from parody. And I mean, you can't tell. This is straight out of a Monty Python movie, but it might actually be real. Let's take a look.
London MCC! Hi everyone, I am a very proud disabled trans woman, even though it doesn't look like it. I am ashamed of what the underground people do. I was misgendered, and they said they had to misgender me.
How is this not Monty Python?
Even when I complained, saying, look, I am not a man, they continued to misgender me. Absolute shocking. TFL, shame on you.
Like, she looks like she's trying to not crack up there. So she on it? I don't know.
The National Health Service, shame on you. You have not letting me have my right to be in the right ward because you don't care that I am a trans sibling, proud disabled trans sibling in the same ward I want to be on. They won't let me it. So National Health Service, shame on you. Thank you.
This seems like it's designed to mock all of the trained SEALs in the background that will just clap at anything. But I mean, not that long ago, you'd say this has to be parody. He has to be joking. Like, this has to be a joke. This has to be satire, right? But at this point, I don't know. I mean, leftist ideology really has become indistinguishable from parody. So I think this is a tough call. I mean, what do you guys think? What do you guys think? Let me know. Is this?
You're right. It's fact.
Or is it?
It's a total fabrication.
I don't know. I'm going to make a call on it, but I want to see what you guys have to say. Tell me in the chat. Is that parody or is it real? Let's see. Izzy says, thank God I'm only attracted to the old-fashioned women, the one with wombs, the one with wombs. You're not attracted to the bearded ones that are obviously men. Nevada says fact. Nevada says fact. What say the rest of you? Parody or fact? Parody, or does he really mean it? Spambot says it's cringe. But do you think he's being serious or do you think it's parody? Is he a comedian or is this real? Is he a comedian or just crazy? Rosie says, I think every tree in the background is truly a tree. How dare you? How dare you? Let's see. I don't know. I think I'm going to call it. And I think things have gotten so crazy at this point Yeah, I'm going to call it.
You're right. It's fact.
Yep. I think he really, I think he's being sincere. But again, I just keep making the point. This is indistinguishable from parody. So I don't know. Let's wonder if anybody, what about underneath? Billy Bragg. How is this real life? Serena Patrick, actually. I think she's just calling herself Billy Bragg to troll Billy Bragg. Pretendy cosplayer forgot his costume. This has to be a parody. It is sad, but this is the only way that this man can get a round of applause in our society, and that is why he's drifting towards this type of ideology. That is very powerful for, weak people. Am I the only person who thinks he's trolling them? I didn't scroll very far, but this has to be a prank. I know, but you really can't tell anymore. And that's actually a civilizational problem, I think. What's this? Unhinged woman screeches that white people aren't pissed enough over Trump deporting illegal alien terrorists and gang members from the country. These people have completely lost it. Huh. Very interesting. We have that video of Hillary Clinton talking about how illegal immigrants need to be deported from, 20 years ago? Especially if they committed a crime. And that was just normal. That was normal back then because, it actually is kind of sane, right? But let's take a look.
Y'all white people ain't fucking pissed enough for me. Y'all ain't mad enough for me. They are sending people to the camps now. If you've ever asked yourself what you would have done, now's the fucking time. Now's the fucking time. Do you hear me? Do you hear me? Now's the fucking... Y'all white people ain't...
Mind virus. Mind virus. Mind virus. There is just nothing else explains this. No, the rapists, the murderers the illegal immigrants, the illegal criminals must stay in the country. It's very strange.
Fucking pissed enough for me.
Shut up, Commie. Commie gets nothing. All right. What's this? Here's some real, this looks like, I haven't watched this yet, but this looks like some primo woke mind virus. Why do they always have the crazy eyes? Because there's nothing behind the eyes other than a idea parasite, an idea pathogen that has taken over their brains, and they're no longer capable of being reasonable. They're no longer they no longer have agency or free will. That's why. Let's take a look.
This land was made for you and me. This land is your land. This land is my land. From California to the New York Island.
That's a commie song. Sorry. Oh, good Lord. I think we've seen this one before. But yeah, this is mind virus right here. Yeah, whether you're religious or not, screaming at preachers is just bad form. It really is. All right, let's move on. Let's see. David Atherton. A man is arrested at home by 4 policemen for sending out an X-post. The Scouser's partner rightly observes, get an effing real job, you prick. So this is in the UK. This is Airstrip 1 now, where they're more concerned with people sending out what they consider to be mean tweets than, I don't know, like grooming gangs, for instance. Let's take a look.
7, right, you're under arrest for racially aggravated unless you're next, okay? You don't have to say anything, but it may harm your defence if not mentioned, unquestioned, something which may allow later on in court. Anything you say may be given evidence. Do you understand? I'm aggravated what? Malicious communication, aggravated malicious communication laws. Twitter, X. It may, that'll be explained to you. Okay, all right. Right, the necessity for this arrest is prompt effective investigation and prevent this occurrence. Okay, mate. Do you understand? We're just going to go to the van now, okay?
Yeah, meanwhile, like 50 people just got stabbed, but this is it. Yikes. This is progressivism, right? So this is what progressivism means. right? It's more important to control the population than to serve the population. In fact, you don't serve the population anymore. You just control them, and they'll just get what they're given, and that's it. As long as it's politically correct. Wow. It's terrifying, actually. It's hard for me to believe. It's so sad that this is what England has turned into. It's so sad. Well, the whole UK. I mean, anyway, let's continue. Let's keep going. We're coming up to the glitch soon. So in some few minutes, the screen will go blank, and then it will take about 3 seconds, and I will get it back up again. So don't worry about that. It's just a glitch. I don't know why it happens. It's just part of the show now. So don't run away when it happens. Just actually hang out and see the miracle of getting through the glitch. So what's going on here? Michael O'Keefe breaking. Conor McGregor is walking the streets of Dublin with Tucker Carlson. The Irish government's plan to destroy Ireland through immigration is being exposed for the world to see. Yeah, they just passed a law which makes it illegal to say politically incorrect things in your own house. In fact, the police can go into your house and try and find something like you wrote down or a book that you're not supposed to. There we go. And we're back. Yeah, but in Ireland, they passed a law where police can just show up at your house. If somebody said that you might have said a hate in your house or something, they can just go in, they can start rooting through your stuff, see if you've got a wrong book you're not supposed to have. It's totally dystopian and insane. You don't even have freedom of speech in your own house in Ireland now. Just think about that. Just think about where all this stuff goes. Airstrip 1.
Seriously?
The Liberal.ie here with Tucker Carlson and Conor McGregor walking the streets of Dublin.
All right. Well, there wasn't much in that. I hadn't actually watched it before the stream. But I'm sure there's going to be a great interview coming out of that. All right. We already did this. Yeah. It's just the whole of Europe actually is insane. You had this German news editor convicted for satirical photo montage of far-left interior minister. The far-left interior minister reported him, and then they arrested him and put him on trial for a satirical post. I mean, Germany just seems determined to they don't care whether it's called fascism or democracy. They don't care what it's called as long as they have no rights. It's unbelievable. Let's see what's going on here. So this is one I wanted to get to a couple of streams ago, but we couldn't. We didn't have time. So let's deal with it right now. Benny Johnson posted this. Revealed the Trump assassination plot discovered in Wisconsin in February was linked to Ukraine. 17-year-old Nikita Kasap killed his parents to fund the plot. Messages in Russian attempting to buy a military drone and was texting a Ukrainian number. So what the hell is going on here? Let's take a look.
Last summer, political violence reached a boiling point. Democrats called Trump a dictator and a threat to democracy, and he was almost killed twice. But they didn't learn their lesson. In fact, they're doubling down.
What I see happening is a very familiar song being played in autocratic regimes.
A collapsed economy is an open door to autocracy, and that is what Democrats should be shouting from the mountaintops.
Yeah. We should be striving for clarity when it comes to the fact that this is not merely deportation, but deportation to a dictator's terrorist holding facility.
Yeah.
Gulag is what we've been calling it today, rightfully, and worse.
This is the kind of language that puts Trump in danger because it fires up the crazies and provides a moral justification for assassination. We've already seen their attacks on Elon trigger Tesla terrorism. And just this weekend, a deranged Arab Spring breaker firebombed Governor Josh Shapiro's house with his family inside. You'd think Democrats would notice, but they're too busy trying to undeport Latin gangs. It wasn't that long ago when a congressional Republican baseball practice was shot up by a Bernie bro. Just last week, the liberal who flew across the country to assassinate Justice Kavanaugh confessed in court he was out for blood. And we still don't know a thing about Thomas Crooks. We just know that Ryan Ruth had a connection to Ukraine. And Trump's getting frustrated.
It has not been explained to me perfectly.
by either Secret Service or the FBI. We have somebody, two good people running that. And I would like to hear the explanation.
Yeah.
Even if it's not released to the public, I should be allowed to hear it.
Amen.
And I might very well release it to the public.
Now, another assassination plot against Donald Trump was foiled in Wisconsin. And just like Ruth, there's a Ukraine connection. In February, the Wisconsin Sheriff's Office arrested 17-year-old Nikita Kasip for killing his parents and uncovered a plot to kill the president. This kid, who was also part of a satanic neo-Nazi group, allegedly killed his parents for cash so he could fund an assassination attempt on Trump. Authorities went through his phone and found messages in Russian with an anonymous source. He was trying to buy a military drone to take out 47. Quote, a drone with a dropping mechanism. The drone would drop a bomb, so I would need that once the transfer is complete. He was also texting a Ukrainian phone number and planning an escape route to Ukraine. Quote, how long will I need to hide before I move to Ukraine? 1 to 2 months. So while in Ukraine, I'll be able to get a normal job and have a normal life, even if when it's found out I did it. Who is this kid? And why does he have an international network of arms dealers and human smugglers at his fingertips? Why is he texting Ukrainians and trying to overthrow our government? And what is it with Ukraine and all these unhinged assassins with multiple phones and revolution on their minds?
Yeah, the Ruth guy had clear Ukraine connections. He was trying to recruit for them. You see this now. I mean, I don't know. This seems kind of weird, right? Like it seems like there's a little bit of smoke happening here. Maybe there's a fire. It's all very strange, but there has to be something coming out at some point. I mean, it's really actually remarkable how little information has come out, right? The FBI did not even have after Butler, Pennsylvania, the FBI did not even have a press conference for, what was it, 2 or 3 weeks afterwards? That's baffling. How can you justify that? Nobody wanted to talk about it. Certainly the media didn't want to talk about it at all, as it was seen as something that would help Trump. But it makes me wonder, like, has evidence been destroyed? I mean, we know some evidence was destroyed. We know the evidence on the rooftop of that building in Butler was cleaned up, spotless, by the FBI for some reason, totally against protocol. The body of Thomas Crooks was cremated, totally against protocol, very quickly afterwards, I think within a week afterwards. So we know that evidence has already been destroyed. How much more evidence was destroyed? So it's really bizarre how little has come out, how just quiet it's gone. So doubtless something's going to have to come out at some point, but it really is kind of, it's mysterious, and you don't want it to be mysterious. Stuff like this, you don't want it to be mysterious, because people start to wonder and speculate like I do on here. And of course you're going to. Of course you're going to. Because the whole thing just is kind of inexplicable, I will say. If you take a look at the catastrophic errors, the number of catastrophic errors in Butler, that is inexplicable. That's just weird. It just starts to become really unlikely odds that you would have, half a dozen catastrophic errors in security at one event, and an important event with an important band. Anyway, all right, let's get on to the last tab. So I want to do that. Let's just do fun stuff. So we end this off. Let's just do some fun stuff. All right. So what the hell is this? Dudes posting their W's. Jeez. We got to watch this. This is crazy. Crazy. I have never done this, and I never will. Go. I mean, if you can do that If you have the nerves of steel to do that, awesome. I have so little interest. I have negative interest. I have infinite negative interest in ever doing that. It's just horrifying to me. But hey, if you can do it and you want to do it, awesome. That's quite an experience. But this is like my worst nightmare, I have to be honest. All right, let's continue. What is this? Bro not doing that again. So what's happening here? All right, why is she doing that? What's going on? Not a keeper. She is not a keeper. All right. What's this here? So this is just a nice story here. There are still good people in this world. Bro returns missing dog and refuses to accept the reward. All right, let's take a look.
Hello? Hey, if you're watching this from the ring cam, I saw your flyer. I think I found your dog, Pippi. She matches the description, and I actually found her 2 days ago on Meredith Street. And we've just been kind of chilling, I guess. But I saw your flyer recently, and I tried to call you, and there was no pickup. Nobody picked up, so I've just had her for about 2 days now, and I wanted to return her, but I don't want to just leave her here. So I'm just gonna wait. I'll wait for you. I'll wait right here. Maybe you're at work or something, but I'm just gonna wait right here with Pippi. Okay.
All right, we'll skip forward a little. 1 hour later. Okay, here we go.
I just got home and
Oh, hey.
Hi. Can I help you?
Yeah. Hey. Is this Pippi?
Pippi.
Yeah.
I mean, if this wasn't staged, and it's hard to tell these days if things are staged or not, but if it wasn't staged, you know what was going through her mind. Anyway, let's continue.
Oh my God.
There you go.
That's my dog.
Yes.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
How did you find this? It's been 2 days.
Yeah. I saw your flyer. Yeah, I actually found her like 2 days ago.
Really?
Yeah, I found her 2 days ago. And she's really at my we kind of formed a little bond over the past 2 days. I will hold her forever if you let me. Oh. I'm gonna miss you.
I'm so happy.
Yeah.
Here, I just want to
What?
I just want to give you some money for moving here. That was
No.
Please take this.
No,
but it's a
I don't want your money. I didn't do it for money.
But there's nothing more valuable than my dog.
Okay, it's okay. I don't want your money. The only reward I want is they can come and visit her. Can I come visit her? And
Of course.
Every now and then.
Of course. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. What's your name? I'm so sorry.
You know, now that I watch it a second time, it feels kind of staged to me. But whatever. I mean, it's a nice story, isn't it? I mean, you know, it's better than horrible politics. Let's see. Basically, from Declaration of Memes, basically every single major corporation. All right, let's check this out.
John, after looking over your resume, I think you'd be a perfect fit as our lead engineer. Thank you, sir. I won't let you down.
My name is Luis. I'm here for the job interview.
Oh, Mexican. You know what, John? We're actually going to go in a different direction. Luis, you're hired as our new lead engineer. You haven't even looked at his resume. It's 2024. Corporate wants us to prioritize diversity in the workplace. Resumes don't matter anymore. That's bullshit. Don't be racist, John.
My name is Darnell Watkins. I'm here for the job interview.
Oh, my God. African-American, huh? Luis, we're actually going to go in another direction. Darnell, you're hired as our new lead engineer.
Hell yeah.
It is my Stop being racist, Luis.
Knock, bitches. My name's Bobby Blowis. I'm here for the job interview.
Oh, my God, it's transgender. Darnell, we're actually going to go in another direction. Bobby Blowis, you're hired as our new lead engineer. You sounded really transphobic, Darnell.
My name is Debbie Smalls. I'm here for the job interview.
Oh, it's a dwarf and a woman combined into one. Bobby, we're actually going to go in another direction. Debbie Smalls, you're hired as our new lead engineer.
That, my friends, is the progressive stack. All right, what do we got here? Average conversation with a Democrat. Declaration of Well, this is kind of just an average conversation with anybody who's infected with the woke mind virus. Let's take a look.
Nope. Sorry. Kevin Bacon wasn't in Footloose.
What? Of course he was.
No, he wasn't. You lose.
Of course he was. He was the star.
Nope, you're wrong. Look it up.
I don't have to look it up. It's common knowledge.
Nope.
He was on the cover of People magazine when the movie came. Everyone knows Kevin Bacon was a star of Footloose. It was a huge movie. He was the lead.
Nope. Sorry. Kevin Bacon wasn't in Footloose.
The world is crazy now. Let's see. All right. How about this? Dave Landau, fantastic film facts. Drunk munchkins. All right. Let's take a look. So I guess the Munchkins and the Wizard of Oz were, they're kind of messed up. Let's take a look.
Hey everybody, it's me, Dave Landau, and it's time for Fantastic Film Facts. Did you know that the Munchkins in The Wizard of Oz were a huge problem for production? Many were severe alcoholics. They constantly threw orgies and were known for fist fighting practically every night. But, even worse, due to the Depression of the 1930s, many had to resort to doing things to make ends meet, such as illegal gambling, panhandling, pimping, and prostitution. That's right, the male munchkins would pimp out female munchkins. I imagine if a pimp gets 100%, a munchkin pimp probably gets 50. That's today's Fantastic Film Facts.
So the Munchkins were all severe alcoholics, or most of them were severe alcoholic pimps. So I will never watch that movie the same way again, sadly. But I don't know. It kind of makes sense. What's this? Fight with Memes posted this. He makes a compelling argument. So this is Sam Kinison. Sam Kinison. He was huge in the, 80s, early 90s, I believe. Let's take a look.
If you want to stop world hunger.
Yeah, that felt very badass back in the 80s. I remember watching, what was it, Back to School with Rodney Dangerfield, and he was like a teacher or a professor in that, and thinking it was the best thing that I've ever seen in my life when he went on his rant. All right, let's move on. Let's see. Let's just take a look at this one. Internet Hall of Fame. This is why women live longer than men. And yeah, men tend to do more stupid things. Yeah, you will never see women doing that. You won't even see lesbians doing it. They just don't do it. And it's smart. Even though that looks really fun, I got to say. Let's see. What else we got here? This is just kind of, I think we've seen this before, but I just like it. This is nice. This is what we call a palate cleanser. It's just like the world is a good place. Let's take a look. Gonna have to turn the music off. There we go. So I was kind of wondering, is this like staged, like that's his like pet, whatever that is? But it doesn't appear to be. It just kind of came up, and I guess it's kind of trusting. Maybe he must have gone out there before and just kind of slowly, gained its trust or something. Anyway, it's just kind of nice, right? This is nice. This isn't like, elitist, globalist, technocrat central bankers trying to destroy your country. This is just a nice thing. See, that thing, whatever that is not going to try and destroy your country or force you to live, in a 600 square foot prefab tiny house. It won't do that. It'll just be a nice creature out on the Mongolian steppe or wherever this is. My money's on Mongolian steppe. Let's see. Right, did you know which pronouns in this case? I don't know. Gross, grosser, grossest, infinite gross, I'm going to say. And that's it. And that is it. All right, that's all we're doing. We're 2 hours and 37 minutes in. I got nothing. People. I got nothing else. Well, I got a golfing show. Let's see. Let's do a little bit of the last chat, and then we're going to get out of here until Friday night. All right. Rosie says, most young women believe they are as strong as men if they train. They have absolutely no idea they are not and never will be. There are just physical advantages. And just because, a 105-pound Angelina Jolie, beat up a 250-pound guy on the in a movie, Salt or something like that, it doesn't mean anything. That's just fantasy land. Let's see. All right, I'm just going to skip right to the end of the chat here. And Rosie says that hairy bus line was disgusting. They tend to be, I think. And I don't think there's any amount of, social engineering that's going to change that. I think it's just something that's kind of hardwired in. It's just baked into our brains. Not nice. Let's see. All right. That's it, you guys. We're done. We're done for the evening. All right, so thank you to everybody who's been in the chat this evening. You guys are awesome, especially over on the Rumble chat. You guys are fantastic. You're basically half the show now. If it weren't for you, I would not do this. I say this every time. If it weren't for you guys, I would just be talking out into a cold, disinterested void, a cold, indifferent void, and that would be depressing. But it's not, so I'll keep doing it. Thanks, everybody. Have a great week, and I will see you on Friday night. It's Tuesday, right? It's Tuesday tonight. Yeah, so I'll see you on Friday night, 7:30 Pacific time. That'd be 10:30 Eastern time. Hope to see everybody there. We had another good night, actually, on YouTube. We got over 1,000 people watching, not all at once, but, throughout the show, we had 1,000 people, over 1,000 people popping in, so that's good news. And, I will see everybody on Friday night. Have a great week, everyone. Talk to you soon.